like to earn extra cash by offering financial services to people in your community? Then join one of the fastest growing business communities in Nigeria. Become a First Money Agent. As a First Money Agent, you get to enjoy so much that the brand has to offer. Grow your social relevance as First Bank Financial Agent in your community, with business expansion possibilities due to increased awareness for your existing business and increased patronage too. Also, you get to earn extra income via commissions from transactions processed from being a First Money Agent. To enroll as an agent, visit www.firstbanknigeria.com/personalbanking/ways-to-bank/firstmoney or visit any First Bank branch to get started. A First Money Agent can serve every Nigerian. Service offerings include cash deposits, cash withdrawals, funds transfer, airtime top-up and bill payments, account opening, BVN enrollment, and so much more. What are you waiting for? Partner with us. Become a First Money Agent today.
You first. First Bank.
In 1894, our first branch opened in Lagos, Nigeria. And we took our place in this new land brimming with possibilities and surprises. Take Kano, for instance, where the city's wealthiest trader made his first deposit. 20 bags of silver arriving on camelback. Aren't you glad that we offer online banking today? Expanding across the West African sub-region and beyond, our early presence made it possible for all hard-working Africans to build great things. So is it any wonder that not one, but two First Bankers have gone on to become Nigeria's central banker? We are intricately woven into the fabric of society, supporting polo for over 100 years and pushing the limits of athletic performance. Rooted in tradition, but constantly leaning forward into the future. Are you coming?
You first. First Bank.
Welcome to Sabi Town, where we all sabi. We are an innovative town. We buy and sell a lot, and as such, find ways to transact better. On our quest for simple and safe transactions, we found the First Bank unique USSD code, the easy way to receive payments instantly. And it begins with dialing *894*99# to get your USSD code. Now, we just dial *894* your USSD code *amount# to make payments from our First Bank accounts. Other banks' customers simply dial *402* your USSD code *amount# or their bank USSD code *000* your USSD code plus amount# to make payments, and you get credited instantly. Payments as simple as this is an innovative way to transact business. The best part is payments can be made from any phone. No data required. So trendy businesses are taking a cue and getting unique USSD codes from First Bank because they understand that the customer is king. To self-enroll and receive payments with the First Bank USSD code, dial *894*99# now and follow the prompts, or enroll via the First mobile app. Click on Merchant Services, then on USSD and follow the prompts. Get a First Bank USSD code today and make life stress-free for you and your customers because you sabi. Get coded today.
You first. First Bank.
Are you a business owner? Been in business for a minimum of 12 months? Would you like to earn extra cash by offering financial services to people in your community? Then join one of the fastest growing business communities in Nigeria. Become a First Money Agent. As a First Money Agent, you get to enjoy so much that the brand has to offer. Grow your social relevance as First Bank Financial Agent in your community, with business expansion possibilities due to increased awareness for your existing business and increased patronage too. Also, you get to earn extra income via commissions from transactions processed from being a First Money Agent. To enroll as an agent, visit www.firstbanknigeria.com/personalbanking/ways-to-bank/firstmoney or visit any First Bank branch to get started. A First Money Agent can serve every Nigerian. Service offerings include cash deposits, cash withdrawals, funds transfer, airtime top-up and bill payments, account opening, BVN enrollment, and so much more. What are you waiting for? Partner with us. Become a First Money Agent today.
You first. First Bank.
In 1894, our first branch opened in Lagos, Nigeria. And we took our place in this new land brimming with possibilities and surprises. Take Kano, for instance, where the city's wealthiest trader made his first deposit. 20 bags of silver arriving on camelback. Aren't you glad that we offer online banking today? Expanding across the West African sub-region and beyond, our early presence made it possible for all hardworking Africans to build great things. So is it any wonder that not one, but two First Bankers have gone on to become Nigeria's central banker? We are intricately woven into the fabric of society, supporting polo for over 100 years and pushing the limits of athletic performance. Rooted in tradition, but constantly leaning forward into the future. Are you coming?
You first. First Bank.
Welcome to Sabi Town, where we all sabi. We are an innovative town. We buy and sell a lot, and as such, find ways to transact better. On our quest for simple and safe transactions, we found the First Bank unique USSD code, the easy way to receive payments instantly. And it begins with dialing *894*99# to get your USSD code. Now, we just dial *894* your USSD code *amount# to make payments from our First Bank accounts. Other banks' customers simply dial *402* your USSD code *amount# or their bank USSD code *000* your USSD code plus amount# to make payments, and you get credited instantly. Payments as simple as this is an innovative way to transact business. The best part is payments can be made from any phone. No data required. So trendy businesses are taking a cue and getting unique USSD codes from First Bank because they understand that the customer is king. To self-enroll and receive payments with the First Bank USSD code, dial *894*99# now and follow the prompts, or enroll via the First mobile app. Click on Merchant Services, then on USSD and follow the prompts. Get a First Bank USSD code today and make life stress-free for you and your customers because you sabi. Get coded today.
You first. First Bank.
Are you a business owner? Been in business for a minimum of 12 months? Would you like to earn extra cash by offering financial services to people in your community? Then join one of the fastest growing business communities in Nigeria. Become a First Money Agent. As a First Money Agent, you get to enjoy so much that the brand has to offer. Grow your social relevance as First Bank Financial Agent in your community, with business expansion possibilities due to increased awareness for your existing business and increased patronage too. Also, you get to earn extra income via commissions from transactions processed from being a First Money Agent. To enroll as an agent, visit www.firstbanknigeria.com/personalbanking/ways-to-bank/firstmoney or visit any First Bank branch to get started. A First Money Agent can serve every Nigerian. Service offerings include cash deposits, cash withdrawals, funds transfer, airtime top-up and bill payments, account opening, BVN enrollment, and so much more. What are you waiting for? Partner with us. Become a First Money Agent today.
You first. First Bank.
In 1894, our first branch opened in Lagos, Nigeria. And we took our place in this new land brimming with possibilities and surprises. Take Kano, for instance, where the city's wealthiest trader made his first deposit. 20 bags of silver arriving on camelback. Aren't you glad that we offer online banking today? Expanding across the West African sub-region and beyond, our early presence made it possible for all hard-working Africans to build great things. So is it any wonder that not one, but two First Bankers have gone on to become Nigeria's central banker? We are intricately woven into the fabric of society, supporting polo for over 100 years and pushing the limits of athletic performance. Rooted in tradition, but constantly leaning forward into the future. Are you coming?
You first. First Bank.
Welcome to Sabi Town, where we all sabi. We are an innovative town. We buy and sell a lot, and as such, find ways to transact better. On our quest for simple and safe transactions, we found the First Bank unique USSD code, the easy way to receive payments instantly. And it begins with dialing *894*99# to get your USSD code. Now, we just dial *894* your USSD code *amount# to make payments from our First Bank accounts. Other banks' customers simply dial *402* your USSD code *amount# or their bank USSD code *000* your USSD code plus amount# to make payments, and you get credited instantly. Payments as simple as this is an innovative way to transact business. The best part is, payments can be made from any phone. No data required.
distinguished ladies and gentlemen, fellow shareholders, the time now is 10 a.m. Thank you. And it is with great pleasure that I welcome you all to Lagos and to the 9th annual general meeting of our company. I wish to inform you that this annual general meeting is being held by proxy, further to the approval of the Corporate Affairs Commission under the guidance issued by the CAC, subsequently adopted and issued by the Nigerian Stock Exchange. This AGM is being streamed live for our shareholders, for our regulators, and also for observers who are not physically present here with us. Before the business of the day, may I invite Alhaji Ahmed Rabiu to give us an opening prayer, a short one.
And we seek your grace to continue to guide and bless the chair of the meeting and the chair of the FBNHoldings Group and the entire management and staff. Continue to guide and bless our president and all our leaders, from governors to local government council. Touch their heart so that they lead us well. We seek your grace to continue to bless our bank, to continue to be the lead financial institution in our great country, rendering the required support to render economic boom that will grant opportunity for all of us to be employed for socio-economic well-being of the country. We seek your grace to protect us from the dreaded COVID-19 and from the miscreants causing havoc, killing people all over the place. We seek your grace that you bless this country and grant us your grace during the shortest period possible time to enjoy enduring unity, peace, and progress in this our great country. We thank you and seek that you also grant us a very successful sojourn this morning. And for those viewing online, we seek your grace that they also be able to participate and enjoy your grace wherever they are. Thank you so very much. Amin subhana bika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun al mursalin.
Fellow shareholders, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank Alhaji Ahmed Rabiu for that very spiritual prayer. I report that since the last annual general meeting, some changes took place on the board of your company, and the changes are as follows. Retirement from the board. Since the last annual general meeting, there has been one resignation from the board. Mrs. Oluwande Muyo, an experienced professional, resigned from her position. Please join me in expressing our sincere appreciation to Mrs. Muyo for her commitment and contributions to our growth and progress, as we wish her the very best in both our current and future endeavors. Consequent upon the retirement aforementioned, and subject to your approval at this meeting, we effected the appointments of Mr. Sheni Adetu and Mrs. Julia Anama as independent non-executive directors, while Mr. Utu Ius was appointed as a non-executive director. Their profiles are contained in the annual report. Please join me in welcoming them to the board, and we look forward to working with them to deliver on the mandate and exceed expectations of you, our esteemed shareholders. Following these appointments, the board is currently composed of 12, comprising 3 independent non-executive directors, non-executive directors, and 1 executive director who is also our group manager. In line with approval, before moving to the formal aspect of the meeting, I would like to commence proceedings at this meeting by introducing our directors, secretary, advisors, and representatives of regulatory authorities. First, I'll start with the directors who are present at this meeting. On my extreme right, Dr. Adeshola Adenuton. Next to him, the Group Managing Director, Mr. UK Eke, MFR. On my left is the Company Secretary, Mr. Sheye Kusoko. And of course, my humble self, Dr. Oba Ayola Otudeko. In line with the approval received from the Corporate Affairs Commission for attendance of the meeting by proxy, the following directors have duly appointed me as their proxy to represent them at this meeting. Mr. Oye Azan Odukale, MFR, Mr. Chidi Anya, Dr. Abza Sule Wurumboki, Otumba Mrs. Adebola Oshibogun, Mr. Omoseyin Aida, Miss Cecilia Akintomide OON, Mr. Sheni Adetu, Mrs. Juliet Anama, and Mr. Otu Eves. I want to also introduce the shareholders present at this meeting. They are Sir Sunday Sonny Uwosu, Mr. Adebayo Adeleke, Mrs. Bisi Bakari, Mr. Shola Ephraim Uluwanuga, Mr. Boniface Okeze, and the last but not the least, Alhaji Ahmed Rabiu. May I also introduce here present with us the registrars. The representatives of the auditor, Messrs. KPMG Professional Services. External consultants on the board appraiser, Messrs. PricewaterhouseCoopers. The representatives of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, Securities and Exchange Commission, the Central Bank of Nigeria, Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation, and the legal advisors to the AGM, Messrs. SPA Ajibade and Co. The Corporate Affairs Commission have informed us that they will not be able to attend physically, but they will join this meeting online. I would also like to introduce the chairman of the Audit Committee, Mr. Kolawole Durojaye, FCA, and the other shareholder representative who is here, Mr. Nnamdi Okwadebo. And Mr. Fuad Farouk Umar. I now call upon the Secretary to read the notice convening this meeting.
Notice is hereby given that the 9th Annual General Meeting, AGM, of the members of FBNHoldings Plc will be held at the Oriental Hotel, number 3, Lekki Ekpe Expressway, Victoria Island, Lagos, on Tuesday, April 27, 2021 at 10 a.m. or so soon thereafter to transact the following. Ordinary business. 1, to receive the audited accounts for the year ended December 31, 2020, together with the reports of the directors, auditor, board appraisers, and audit committee thereon. 2, to declare a dividend. 3, to approve the appointment of the following directors. A, Sheni Adetu as independent non-executive director. B, Juliet Anama as independent non-executive director. C, Otu Hughes as non-executive director. 4, to re-elect the following directors retiring by rotation. A, Oye Hassan Odukale, MFR. B, Dr. Adeshola Adedunton. C, Debola Oshibogun. 5, to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the auditor. 6, to disclose the remuneration of managers of the company. 7, to elect members of the audit committee. The notes. 1, proxy. In view of the COVID-19 pandemic, the directives issued by relevant authorities on physical distancing and the ban on large gatherings, the Corporate Affairs Commission has approved that attendance to this meeting shall only be by proxies. Consequently, members are required to appoint a proxy of their choice from the following proxies to attend and vote in his or her or its stead. A, Dr. Oba A. Otudeko, CFR, Group Chairman. B, UKAK MFR, Group Managing Director. C, Dr. Adeshola Adeduton, Non-Executive Director. A proxy form is attached to the annual report. All instruments of proxy should be emailed to info@firstregistersnigeria.com or deposited at the registered office of the company or the office of the registrars. First Registrars and Investor Services Limited. Number 2, Abebe Village Road, Igomu, Lagos. Not later than 48 hours before the time for holding the meeting. Note, all instruments of proxy shall be at the company's expense. 2, dividend. If the proposed dividend recommended by the directors is approved by members at the AGM, the dividend will be payable on Wednesday, April 28, 2021, to members whose names appear in the register of members at the close of business on April 20, 2021. Shareholders who have completed e-dividend mandate forms will receive a direct credit to the dividend into their bank accounts. 3, closure of register of members. In accordance with Section 114 of the Companies and Other Matters Act, please note that the register of members and transfer of books of the company will be closed from April 21 to 22, 2021, both dates inclusive, to enable the registrars of the records in preparation for the payment of dividend. 4, e-dividend mandate. Shareholders are kindly requested to update their records and advise First Registrars and Investor Services Limited of the updated records and relevant bank accounts for payment of their dividends. Detachable forms in respect of mandate for e-dividend payment and shareholder data update are attached to the annual report for convenience. The forms can also be downloaded at the company's website, www.fbnholdings.com, or from First Registrars and Investor Services Limited website at www.firstregistersnigeria.com. The duly completed form should be delivered to First Registrars and Investor Services Limited, number 2, Abebe Village Road, Igomu. 5, unclaimed dividend warrants. Shareholders are hereby informed that some dividend warrants have been returned to the registrars as unclaimed, while some have neither been presented for payment, being present for payment to the registrars for validation. Affected members are, by this notice, advised to contact the registrars, First Registrars and Investor Services, number 2, Abebe Village Road, Igomu. 6, Statutory Audit Committee. In accordance with Section 404, subsection 6 of the CAMA, a shareholder may nominate another shareholder for appointment to the audit committee. Such nomination should be in writing and must reach the company secretary not less than 21 days before the AGM. The Companies and Allied Matters Act, the Code of Corporate Governance of the Financial Reporting Council, Securities and Exchange Commission, and the Central Bank of Nigeria, respectively, indicate that some of the members of the audit committee should have basic financial literacy and be knowledgeable in internal control processes. In view of the above, we therefore request the nominations be compiled, be accompanied by a copy of the nominee's curriculum vitae. The curriculum vitae of eligible candidates will be posted on the company's website before the date of the meeting. 7, election of directors. Sheni Adetu was appointed as an independent non-executive director of the company on October 27, 2020. His appointment has been approved by the Central Bank of Nigeria and will be presented for shareholders' approval at the 9th Annual General Meeting. B. Juliet Anama was appointed as an independent non-executive director of the company on October 27, 2020, and the approval of the CBN has been obtained. She will be presented for shareholders' approval at the 9th Annual General Meeting. C. Otu Ius was appointed as a non-executive director of the company on October 27, 2020, and the approval of the CBN has been obtained for appointment. It will be presented for shareholders' approval at the 9th Annual General Meeting. 8. Retirement and re-election of directors. Mr. Oyazan Udukale MFR, Dr. Adeshola Adeduto, and Debola Oshibogun are retiring by rotation at this meeting in line with Section 285 of CAMA. The retiring directors, being eligible, are offering themselves for re-election as directors at the AGM. The profiles of the directors are available in our report and on the company's website. 9. Right of shareholders to ask questions. Pursuant to Rule 19, subsection 12, and subsection C of the Nigerian Stock Exchange Rule Book 2015, please note that it is the right of every shareholder to ask questions not only at the meeting, but also in writing prior to the meeting. We urge that such questions be submitted to the Company Secretariat not later than 2 weeks before the date of the meeting. 10. Live streaming of the AGM. The AGM will be streamed online. This enables shareholders and other relevant stakeholders who will not be attending the meeting physically to also be part of the proceedings. The link of the streaming will be made available on the company's website, FBNHoldings.com, and the registrars in due course. By order of the board, Chair Kosoko, Company Secretary, FRC number 000206, 35 Marina, Lagos, dated March 9, 2021.
It is important for us to draw the attention of shareholders to the COVID-19 pandemic, which has continued to constitute a health hazard globally and necessitated the adoption of social distancing measures to control its spread. The COVID-19 pandemic has caused the federal and state governments to place a restriction on the number of persons that may gather at a time. Thus, in compliance with the Lagos State Directive, the number of people present at this meeting is within the required maximum. It is pertinent to state that as a responsible citizen, we have adopted all necessary precautionary measures to ensure the safety of all our stakeholders while delivering our service. I wish to appeal to any member who wishes to ask a question, make comments, move or second a motion to please make use of their microphones. In view of the approval granted by the CAC for this AGM to be held by proxy, we now invite the registrars to provide the proxy report. Registrars.
Of 1,015 proxy forms, units 11,252,110 252,110,729 in terms of shareholding. Our pay-up capital is 35,895,292,791. This gives us 31.35% of the total shareholding. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, our registrar. I now call the representative of the auditor, Masters KPMG Professional Services, to read the auditor's report, which has also been circulated to members, together with the accounts for the year ended December 31, 2020. Auditors.
Good morning, distinguished shareholders of FBNHoldings Plc, the chairman and other shareholders attending the meeting. I will be presenting the auditor's report contained on pages 149 to 154 of the annual report. The independent auditor's report to the shareholders of FBNHoldings Plc report on the audit of the separate and consolidated financial statement. Our opinion. We have audited the separate and consolidated financial statement of FBNHoldings Plc, the company, and its subsidiaries, together referred to as the group, which comprise the separate and consolidated statement of financial position as at 31st December 2020, the separate and consolidated statement of profit or loss for the year then ended, the separate and consolidated statement of other comprehensive income for the year then ended, the separate and consolidated statement of changes in equity for the year then ended, the separate and consolidated statement of cash flows for the year then ended, and the notes comprising significant accounting policies and other explanatory information. In our opinion, the accompanying financial statements give a true and fair view of the separate and consolidated financial position of the company and its subsidiaries as at 31st December 2020, and of its separate and consolidated financial performance and its separate and consolidated cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with International Financial Reporting Standards and in a manner required by the Companies and Other Matters Act of Nigeria and the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria Act 2011, the Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act 2020, and relevant Central Bank of Nigeria guidelines and circulars. The basis of opinion. We conducted our audit in accordance with international standards on auditing. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibility for the audit of the separate and consolidated financial statement section of our report. We are independent of the company and group in accordance with the International Ethics Standards Board for Accountants, the International Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants, including the International Independent Standard, referred to as the IESBA Code, together with the ethical requirements that are relevant to our audit of the financial statement in Nigeria, and we have fulfilled our other ethical responsibilities in accordance with these requirements and the IESBA Code. We believe that the audit evidence that we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide the basis for our opinion. Key audit matters. The key audit matters are those matters that are, in our professional judgment, were of most significance in our audit of the financial statement for the current period. These matters were addressed in the context of our audit of the financial statement as a whole and informing our audit opinion thereon. And we do not provide a separate opinion on these matters. We have determined the matter described below to be the key audit matter to be communicated in our report. The expected credit loss allowance on loans and advances to customers. The ECL allowance on loans and advances to customers is considered to be of most significance in the audit due to the level of subjectivity inherent in estimating the key assumptions that impact the recoverability of loan balances, including the impact of prevailing macroeconomic conditions in arriving at the level of impairment allowance required. The group uses an expected credit loss model to determine the impairment allowance for loans and advances. The determination of impairment allowance using the ECL model is inherently a significant area for the group and requires the application of certain judgments, assumptions, and estimates of financial indices which relate to the expected outlook on crude oil prices, the gross domestic product, and the Nigeria Stock Exchange Index. These indices are estimated from historical financial data obtained within and outside the group. The forward-looking information is incorporated into both the assessment of whether the credit risk of an instrument has increased significantly since its initial recognition and the measurement of the expected credit loss. In addition, the economies where a number of the group's bank subsidiaries operate experienced the twin shock of crude oil price dip and COVID-19 pandemic during the period. These led to contraction in business activities and revenue for all dependent economies. These factors affected the ability of some corporate and retail customers in meeting the obligations due on their loans. As a result, increased level of judgment and subjectivity was required to evaluate the significant increase in credit risk on loans and advances to the customer and the estimation of the forward-looking information. The group's ECL model also includes certain judgments and assumptions in determining the impairment allowance of loans and advances and comprise the following: the determination of default, the assessment of significant increase in credit risk, the incorporation of forward-looking information based on the economic scenario within the model, the determination of 12-month and lifetime probability of default used in the model, the determination of the exposure at default based on discounted cash flows at the reporting date, and the rate of recovery on the loans that are past due and default. The credit conversion factors applied in modeling the EAD for undrawn commitments, the estimation of loss given default based on collateral values and other cash flows, the determination of the impact of COVID-19 on the group's ECL estimation. The procedures that we performed as auditors included the following. We evaluated the design and implementation of key controls over the impairment determination process, such as the Board Credit Committee review of the allowances on loans and advances and management review of relevant data used in the calculation of the expected credit losses, including the evaluation of the ECL impairment computation. We assessed the group's default definition and other qualitative default indicators by checking them to the requirement of relevant accounting standards. We tested the appropriateness of the group's determination of significant increase in credit risk, default, and the resultant classification of loans into stages on a sample basis by reviewing the customer's files for the terms of the loan and account statement for due and unpaid obligations. Assisted by a financial risk management specialist, we checked the key data and assumptions for the data input into the model. Our procedures in this regard included the following. We challenged the appropriateness and reasonableness of the group's ECL methodology by considering whether it reflects an unbiased and probability-weighted amounts that are determined by evaluating a range of possible outcomes, the time value of money, reasonable and supportable information at the reporting date about past events, current conditions, forecasts of future economic conditions. For forward-looking information, comprising the crude oil prices, the GDP, and the Nigeria Stock Exchange Index used by the group, we corroborated the group's assumptions using publicly available information from external sources. We evaluated the appropriateness of the basis of determining the exposure at default, including the contractual cash flows, outstanding loan balance, the loan repayment type, the loan tenor, effective interest rate, by checking them to source documents and performing a recomputation. We checked the credit conversion factor applied in the model for undrawn commitment by reviewing the computation to confirm that they are in line with portfolio segmentation. For probability of default used in the calculation, we validated the completeness and accuracy of the data for default and non-default categories for corporate and retail loans by evaluating the overall reasonableness. We also checked the calculation of the loss given default used by the group in the calculations, including the appropriateness of the use of collateral by recomputing the LGD, cash flow validation, and assessing the haircuts applied by management on the recoverability of collaterals, considering the current economic conditions. On a sample basis, we challenged the valuation of the collaterals applied in the ECL computation by evaluating the competence of the valuer and checking the market value of the collateral to other independent, publicly available information. We assess how the group has treated restructured loans based on changes to cash flow characteristics of customers and the related impact on staging and significant increase in credit risk to confirm that they are consistent with requirements of the standards. We also independently reperformed the calculation of impairment allowance for loans and advances using the impairment model and validated key inputs used. For additional information on the group's accounting policy on impairment, the related credit disclosures on credit risks, and significant accounting judgment and estimates and assumptions, I refer you to Note 2.9.1, Note 3.2, Note 22, and 5 respectively in the financial statement. Other matter. With respect to other matter, we would like to confirm that the separate and consolidated financial statement of the company and the group as at and for the year then ended 31st December 2019 were audited by another auditor who expressed an unmodified opinion on those financial statements on 6th of April 2020. Other information. The directors are responsible for the other information. The other information comprises the directors' and advisory listing, the corporate governance report, the directors' report, the statement of directors' responsibility, the statement of corporate responsibility, the statement of compliance with the Nigeria Stock Exchange listing rules on securities trading policy, report of the audit committee, other national disclosures, and other information included in the annual report. But it does not include the separate and consolidated financial statements and our auditor's report thereon. Other information also includes our business report, strategy report, corporate responsibility and sustainability report, governance report, risk review report, shareholder information, together with our standing reports, which are expected to be made available to us after that date. Our opinion on the separate and consolidated financial statement does not cover the other information, and we do not express any form of assurance conclusion thereon. In connection with our audit of the separate and consolidated financial statements, our responsibility is to read the other information, and in doing so, consider whether the other information is materially inconsistent with the separate and consolidated financial statements, or our knowledge obtained in the course of the audit, or otherwise appears to be materially misstated. If based on the work that we have performed, we conclude that there is a material misstatement of this other information, we are required to report that fact. In respect of all of this, we confirm that we have nothing to report in this regard. When we read the other outstanding report, if we conclude that there is a material misstatement therein, we are required to communicate the matter to those charged with governance. With your due permission, I would like to take the responsibilities of the directors and the responsibilities of the auditors as contained in the annual report as read. The last section of our report covers the report on other legal and regulatory requirements. On page 154. Compliance with the requirements of Schedule 5 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020. Number one, we have obtained all the information and explanation which to the best of our knowledge and believe were necessary for the purpose of our audit. 2, in our opinion, proper books of account have been kept by the company so far as appears from our examination of those books. 3, the company statement of financial position, the statement of profit or loss, and the statement of other comprehensive income are in agreement with the books of account and returns. Secondly, compliance with Section 26(3) of the Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act 2020 and the Central Bank of Nigeria Circular BSD 1/2004. Number 1, the group pay penalties in respect of contravention of the Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act 2020 and the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria regulation during the year ended 31st December 2020. Details of these penalties are disclosed in Note 49 to the financial statement. 2, related party transactions and balances are disclosed in Note 47 to the financial statement in compliance with the Central Bank of Nigeria Circular BSD 1/2004, signed by me, Kabir Okunlola, for and on behalf of KPMG Professional Services on the 31st of March 2021. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Okunlola of KPMG Professional Services. I also now call on the chairman of the Audit Committee, Mr. Kolawole Durojaye, FCA, to read the committee's report already circulated. It is on page 148 of the annual report and accounts, which has been circulated to members. Mr. Durojaye.
The group chairman, Dr. Oba Utudeko, CFR, the group managing director, UK AK MFR, the managing director, chief executive, First Bank, Nigeria Limited, Dr. Adeshola Adeduton, the company secretary, regulators here present, eminent shareholders present, and those watching online, gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning all. As said by the group chairman, the report is on page 148 of the annual report. Report of the Audit Committee. In compliance with the Section 404 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, we have reviewed the audit report for the year ended 31st December 2020 and hereby states as follows. 1, the scope and planning of the audits were inadequate in our opinion. 2, the accounting and reporting policies of the company conform to statutory requirements and agreed ethical practices. 3, the internal control was being constantly and effectively monitored. 4, the external auditor's management report received satisfactory response from management. And 5, the committee reviewed the audit report on insider-related party transactions and is satisfied with the status as required by the Central Bank of Nigeria. Dated 8 March 2021, signed by me, Kolawole Durojaye, FCA, Chairman Audit Committee, FRC number 19789. Other members of the committee are Fuad Umar, Namdi Okwadigo, FCA, Oye Hassan Odukale, MFR, Chidi Anya, and Cecilia Akintomide, OON. I thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much. Lastly, I call on the representatives of Messrs. PricewaterhouseCoopers to present the board appraisal and board governance reports for the 2020 financial year. These reports are on pages 111 and 112 of the annual report and accounts, which have also been circulated to members.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, all directors present, all shareholders present, all protocols observed. Reports on the outcome of the board evaluation for the period ended 31st December 2020, which can be found on page 111 of the annual report. PricewaterhouseCoopers was engaged to carry out an evaluation of the board, its committees, and the individual directors of FBNHoldings Plc, as prescribed by Principle 14 of the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance, NCCG, for the period ended 31st December 2020. Our responsibility was to reach a conclusion on the board's performance based on work carried out within the scope of our engagement as contained in our letter of engagement dated 28 January 2021. In carrying out the evaluation, we have relied on representations made by members of the board and senior management and on the documents provided for our review. The board has complied significantly with the provisions of the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC guidelines, and the NCCG. Areas of strength include the board's oversight of strategy development and execution, devotion of sufficient time to the governance of the company, all directors having achieved 100% attendance at all board and board committee meetings in the year under review. The board also displayed resilience and agility in its operations and processes by leveraging the use of technology following the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic in the course of the year. Details of our other findings and recommendations are contained in our reports. Femi Oshinobi on behalf of PricewaterhouseCoopers. Thank you.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the next item to be read is the chairman's statement, which is on page 14 of the annual report and accounts. Thank you very much. Thank you. Kindly be informed that in exercise of the powers conferred on me by virtue of section 248, subsection 1A of CAMA, I hereby call a poll on items 1 to 5 on the agenda. Thus, voting for these resolutions will be taken electronically. As the resolutions on these items 1 to 5 will be proposed as ordinary resolutions, a majority representing 50.1% of the total votes cast by the shareholders and proxies here present is required for each resolution to be approved. I now come to the first item of the agenda, which is to receive the audited financial statements of the company for the year ended December 31, 2020, and the reports of the directors, auditor, external consultants on the board appraisal and audit committee thereon. The reports and accounts have been circulated to all members in compliance with the statutory requirement, and I hereby move that the reports of directors, auditors, external consultants on the board appraisal and audit committee, together with the audited accounts for the financial year ended December 31, 2020, now submitted to this meeting, be and are hereby received. Can a shareholder please second the motion? Mrs. Bakari.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Mrs. Adebisi Bakari. I so do.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Bakari. I now call for comments from members. May I please ask that you use the microphone when called upon to speak? And I recognize Mr. Sonny Nwosu.
Mr. Chairman of the Board of FBNHoldings Plc, distinguished directors, very distinguished shareholders, and all parties here. My name is Sir Sonenwosu, KSS, National Coordinator Emeritus, Independent Shareholders Association of Nigeria. I'd like to say very good morning to everybody here. Mr. Chairman, I would like to start my contribution with page 6 and 7 of the annual report, which, of course, speaks for every other item on this annual report. We are happy with the job so far done. We're also happy that the accounts we are actually looking into today has actually reduced so many things as a legacy bank. We have the NPL reduced from 10% to 8%. We also have the dividend increased, which is the most important aspect of every AGM. We recognize the work done by the directors, and the shareholders look forward to a better return anytime. We also understand the position of First Bank in the financial world, that is a legacy bank. There are a lot of loads that First Bank is carrying. But today, we are seeing a fountain pen, a golden name, which says, "We are committed." That on its own speaks volume, that the directors are listening directors. And once they say they are committed, it means they are really committed to serve the shareholders diligently and ensure that some of us who are retirees will always smile home at any given time that they are declaring a bonus. Mr. Chairman, I want to talk about just a few things, because already there have been a position paper sent today. And usually, I don't like discussing most of the issues on the papers delivered. I want to talk about things that I feel will give us future of the bank. Let's take the issue of what they call dormant account issue. In the whole banking today, dormant account is calculated to be about 25 trillion naira. Now, this dormant account belongs to people. It is not government money. And I strongly believe that government interference should strengthen investment and not to derail investment. Mr. Chairman, in a situation where government decides to take what does not belong to them in dormant account, there are two things I'm going to talk about on that: unclaimed dividend and dormant accounts. Do you think that that will actually encourage investment and banking? Because there are people who are not available in this country. And when they talk about dormant account, I believe either 6 months or 1 year, it becomes dormant. And that period is not enough for you to say the person is no longer interested in his money. The issue of dormant account, to my own understanding, is that it's a protective thing, a protective language, that when you come back anytime, you go through the procedure of normalizing your account and you start. We are lucky in First Bank. The president of Chartered Institute of Bankers is here. Our chairman is well connected. The group MD, well connected. The bank MD, well connected. We are putting it back to these 4 people that I've mentioned. I was in a webinar when the secretary of Chartered Institute of Bankers and myself had to attack this issue. But we now discover that there is one of the 4 auditing firms that actually advise the government on what they have to do on this issue. Because I have it on record. I can send it to you. The presentation of representative of this big audit firm on it. And if we are here talking about the audit firms that we choose, we have friends in them, and behind us, they are doing things that is not actually good and fit for the industry where they meet friends. Because government will come and go. We on this side remain as shareholders. So it is very bad. But I want you as an institution in this country and all others to find a way in advising the Minister of Finance. Because when we met at the Senate, I said one thing that touches my mind about the money they want. I said, if, as a citizen, I am attacked by armed robbers, I will beckon on government agencies like police. But when the same government that I am supposed to beckon on becomes an armed robber, where do I go to? The fact is that today, government is proving that they are legalized robbers. Because, again, overnight, they can pass a bill to legalize whatever they have stolen from the masses. So we need to look at that. I'm so pained on behalf of shareholders. And in saying this, I also want the registrars and the company secretary to look for means to reduce this money, because it's becoming very attractive to them to take. They should look for means to reduce it. The CAMA 1990 and CAMA 2020 stipulates that after 12 years, for the benefit of the shareholders, it reverts back to the company that pays it to use it to produce more profit, more dividend. Maybe at that time, those that will lose their money after 12 years would have woken up and benefit from it. But today, it has been reduced by this minister and her team to 6 years, which then means that they are very well in attack. And majority of them do not even buy shares. Majority of the people who are bringing out laws and regulations in the capital market do not buy shares. So they don't know where the shoe pinches. So, Mr. Chairman, that's the first thing I want to talk about. We have mop-up by Central Bank. Every time they mop up. And that mop-up is actually penalizing the institution, because you cannot use, you won't have money to lend out and to make money. We're in a capitalist world, nobody can challenge that. Today, we are having 1.3 billion naira in mandatory deposit with Central Bank, from 800 and something million to above 1.3 billion naira. The question to the board is that, are we actually getting any interest on both the mop-up and the mandatory money that have been taken over from us? Mr. Chairman, I actually frown on the penalties that we have paid. Although, like I used to say, that every board that is being regulated by the regulators are always deaf and dumb. You have no answer, because the more you ask questions, the more they increase the penalty on you. But we need to be very careful. We know we have done well, but we should not throw away the good money that we have made into sponsoring Central Bank and the regulators in paying penalties. So the management must be very, very careful about that. Mr. Chairman, just recently, the Minister of Trade and Industry came out with a regulation giving only 2 years to companies to either reduce your capital base and remain the paid up. Now we have a difference between our paid up and capital base. We have been very, very careful about issuing bonuses after the last one we issued. So I want to know how we intend to manage this, and they say after December 2022 that there will be penalties on any company that failed to balance up this issue. How do we go about it? So for shareholders, ordinary shareholders, some may ask for bonus to clean it up, but it's a huge difference. And therefore, we must start thinking of what to do. Mr. Chairman, if we go to the performance, I've talked about that. Now, if we go to our earning per share, our earning per share was 2 naira 45 kobo. And we are just taking away the 2 naira and we are paying 45 kobo. Mr. Chairman, what is behind this that we cannot even pay 1 naira? So that's the only salary we earn. That's the only salary shareholders earn. We can understand if we do not have this robust earning per share. But when we have this robust earning per share, we'll be expecting that the board will be kind enough to support us. Mr. Chairman, in this annual report, there is a sustainability report, which is very good. Very, very good. It covers a lot of areas that will be very interesting to shareholders and outsiders to really understand what we have done to the public and every other person. And I hope we shall improve that sustainability report. It's going to help us. And before I end my contribution, Mr. Chairman, I would like to congratulate the board on the corporate governance report, which is here. They did very, very well. The only person is the person that retired, and it's noted there that is retired, and therefore we should not hold it against the board. So it's a very good report. Mr. Chairman, finally, we are in 9 countries of the world. We're in 9 countries. Let's ask questions about the performance of these 9 countries as at today. Because for me, I am seeing this report as a report of past activities. So we're already in first quarter, which has been reported to Nigerian Stock Exchange. There is need for us to also understand how we have performed in the first quarter. So let's know how these 9 countries, how we're performing. Mr. Chairman, finally, we've done very well in coronavirus period because the report we are considering is a full year report of coronavirus. And we have done very well, especially the bank whose profit moved to 33 billion naira. 33 billion naira. Now, if you take it away from what the group has done, you will now see the foresight on the directors for creating these groups to have contributed this. If we had only been the bank, we'll be talking about 33 billion naira. But today, because we're a conglomerate, we're talking of a larger profit. I hope we'll continue to work on the subsidiaries to increase their profit contribution and turnover contribution into the mainframe of the company. So I congratulate the bank managing director, and I congratulate very much the group managing director of the holding, because that's the one that is supervising all the subsidiaries under the bank. So to you, we are happy you are out today. Last time we felt it that you were not here. If nothing else, we enjoy your style of cap. So, sir, you are welcome. Let us not fear anything because death is a destiny. And may God keep all of us alive a very long time. Corona will not see us. And the shareholders will continue to look forward to your chairmanship for a better result, better dividend to us. Thank you, and God bless First Bank. And God bless Nigerian shareholders.
Thank you. Sir Sonny Nwosu, for your wishes and your prayers. It shall be so on all of us who are here. Madam, you have the floor.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, the group, and the MD of First Bank Limited, our able company secretary, the regulatory authorities here present, my co-shareholders, good morning. My name is Mrs. Bisi Bakari, the National Coordinator of Pragmatic Shareholders Association of Nigeria. Firstly, Mr. Chairman, I want to start my comments by commending our bank for the issuance of $350 million on secured Eurobond of 5 years in 2020. This was the first benchmark Eurobond issue from Africa Bank in 2020. This is highly commendable. Also, I commend our bank for the completed sale of 65% FBNHoldings Plc ownership in FBN Insurance Limited to Sanlam Emerging Market Limited, effective June 1st, 2020. I will go straight to page 29, where we have customer complaints. I commend our bank that out of 723,625 complaints received, none was escalated to CBN. This is very good, and this is the first account I'm seeing this, that no complaint was escalated to CBN. I really commend the management for that also. Page 116. On page 116, we have cybersecurity risk. I want to know, sir, how soon do we intend to replace the aging infrastructure and acquiring new technology required for the future? I would like to know. Page 161. Page 161. Cash flows statements. Our cash flow statement is very robust and strong. Our cash flow generated from operations moved from negative position of 637.6 billion in 2019 has moved to a positive position of 105.348 billion. Also, our net cash flow generated from operating activities from negative of 254.8 billion to positive of 373.7 billion. Our cash and cash equivalents at start of year was 1.3 trillion, but at the end of year, the cash and cash equivalents has moved to 1.932 trillion, almost 2 trillion. This is very good and is highly commendable. Please, a round of applause for them. Furthermore, I want to commend our bank for an improvement in our non-performing loans ratio from 9.9% to 7.7%. This is also commendable. Again, sir, looking through our financial statements, I noticed that your agency banking network has more than doubled in 1 year to about 100,000 agents covering 772 local government areas out of 774 local government areas. Thus, this reaffirming our leadership position in banking sector. But, sir, I want to ask, What are the plans to monetize this expansive network of agents, and how will that impact we shareholders? I would like to know also. Also, I noticed that the leadership of the First Bank of Nigeria in the Nigerian market is under threat. No doubt about this, Mr. Chairman. So I want to ask from this board that what steps are we taking to regain leadership that we rightly deserve? I want to know also. Thirdly, with the increase in non-interest income by 26.7% on the back of increased fees and commission income, how hopeful are you in consolidating this on the back of continued revenue drive through non-funded income, especially creating more lending opportunities? Again, sir, I commend our bank for the rollout of mobile banking app for FBN Bank Senegal, a development out of First Bank Innovation Laboratory. Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask that how does our bank intend to achieve cost optimization, judging from your cost to income ratio of 68.6% against 69.7% in the previous year? Lastly, how do you hope to improve on your asset quality and risk management going by the impact of COVID-19 and minimal exposure to sectors most affected by COVID-19 pandemic? Thank you once again for the opportunity given to me, sir.
Can I invite Ade Bayo Adeleke?
Good morning, Chairman, Chief Dr. Oba Ayola Otudeko, CFR. I want to acknowledge the presence of the Group Managing Director, UKK, and Group Managing Director of the bank, my brother Adeduton, and the Company Secretary, and everybody here present. I also want to specially acknowledge the shareholders who have joined us online, and therefore they are part of this meeting. Mr. Chairman, I want to believe that we are in very challenging times. The AGM of First Bank that we all got used to be an annual celebration, a fun fair, a carnival of a sort, at a time of getting together as a family. But these are challenging times. COVID has taught us a very bitter lesson and also opened our eyes to the fact that things can be done in another way. Mr. Chairman, the rapid rate of death in India as a result of COVID-19 is extremely very worrisome. So I want to commend you and the bank for maintaining this proxy form of AGM, and that for as long as it will take us to exercise discretion, we should embrace it. And I want to plead with shareholders to please take it easy and be informed that it is shareholders who are alive that will be able to participate in future AGMs. Having said that, Mr. Chairman, I want to join you, like you asked, to thank Mrs. Moyo, who has served on the board. And I also want to join you to welcome the new directors, Juliet, Asetu, and Otu. I'm confident that their coming will add value to our business. Talking about First Bank, Mr. Chairman, this bank is 127 years old. Not many banks in the whole world can claim that kind of history. This bank, in its 127th year, has also moved its balance sheet from 6.2 trillion to 7.7 trillion. Now, Chairman, that looks to me to be a little bit more than the budget of the largest and the biggest economy in Africa in 2019. And this is just a company and a conglomerate. Mr. Chairman, let me tell you something I learned about 30 years ago about First Bank. Then I used to work for an oil company, and I had a manager, first-class economics. And he went to one of those mushroom banks that were springing up that time in Bookshop House on Broad Street. And he wanted to play some money. And they promised him 13% interest. And he said, okay, I will be back. So he gave them his card and he walked away. Then we used to have a bank in Investment House before it got burnt. So he went to First Bank Investment House. And they said, I want to place money. How much is your interest? And they gave him 4% as at that time. And he placed the money with them. So when the other bank didn't see him, they came over to the head office and asked after him. And they met him. And they said, sir, we didn't see you. If you are not happy with 13, we have spoken with our management. They said we can offer you 13.5. The man said, the more you offer me, the more I will not place my money with you. I said, why? He said, I've gone to First Bank and they offered me 4%. And I've placed my money with them. I said, sir, why would you do that? He said, because you guys have just come and you are offering me 13. So see, that bank has been here for about 100 years. There must be something they are doing right, and I will not gamble with my money. Mr. Chairman, that bank is gone, and First Bank is standing. And I believe that this is what is called resilience. This is what is called commitment. This is what is called legacy. This is what is called foresight. And thank God that we have evolved to a holding structure because we are able to have the foresight that things are going to turn the corner, and the first set of people to get to that corner, we have the first mover advantage. So I want to thank you that under your leadership, the bank has witnessed such a transformation and the holding is getting consolidated. Mr. Chairman, the financial highlights and some of the figures have been perused by Sir Sonny Nwosu and Mrs. Bisi Bakari. I just want to say that looking at the GMD's review on pages 21 and 22, I could see some very specific things that should warm the heart of any investor and some things that we also need to improve upon. This result basically has been driven by the profit after tax, itself fueled by our ability to contain cost, and then our NPL and impairment has gone down drastically compared with the previous year. We are now within a very tolerable threshold, even though the best international or global standard is 5%. And I'm sure we will get there because we have made some very, very giant strides. Our cash adequacy ratio, however, has also improved, but can do better. We have moved from the CBN required 15 to about 17%. But Mr. Chairman, we are first bank. We are not the second bank. We are not even the third bank. We are not the fourth. But as far as our cash adequacy ratio is concerned, we are not on top of that list in the first 5. So I want to believe that we will do all that is within our powers to begin to increase. On page 56, just have 2 more issues. Page 56, on our corporate social responsibilities, our staff have donated an aggregate of 40,000 man-hours into volunteering in one form or the other. We pay people based on results and based on the number of time they are putting. And I think it will do us well to put naira to these man-hours so that the public can further appreciate the level of donation that we are talking about going forward. Mr. Chairman, 100% attendance by board and committee members is excellent, and if there's any other word apart from excellence, I think we need to throw it out. Presence, Mr. Chairman, presence is the first sign of commitment. You can't say that you are committed when you are absent. And I'm paying that glowing tribute to all directors, including members of the audit committee, that they have shown commitment by being present at all meetings. Mr. Chairman, on page 312, page 312, we have 14.1 billion unissued shares. And I think this is also a major concern to all shareholders. So the more reason for the emphasis. We have quite a lot of money in the reserve, but looking at the volume that we have out there, and looking at how our price has been performing, and looking at the challenges that very hard-working staff have helped us to overcome over the last few years, it will not be a right time to further issue any of these shares. It will put unnecessary and undue pressure on our earning per share. Our earning per share is just 94 kobo. So if you put more pressure on that earning per share, the price will also be a reflection of what the earning per share is on the floor of the exchange. And that will not be good for all of us in terms of creating value. So I want to suggest that if we don't have any other option than to comply with Corporate Affairs Commission's guideline, we may consider putting up these shares for cancellation at the next annual general meeting. If and when we require to increase our share capital, then we will cross that bridge when we get there. Finally, Mr. Chairman, I want to say that for some of us, we have missed you, but I'm sure that you are not all that far away. And COVID will soon pack its bag and baggage and leave us so that we can have more level of interaction. On a final note, I want to commend the company secretary and the entire secretariat for working diligently behind the scene to put this meeting together. And I want to wish all of us success. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adeleke. Boniface. You told me that you will manage time.
Yes, yes, sir.
Not lecture like Adibayo Adeleke.
Mr. Chairman, our own very chairman, our Papa,
of our Tedeko, CFR, our group MD, our own brother, MFR, Mr. UKK, our MD of the bank, Dr. Dedotu, our own brother in diaspora, our company secretary, my own man, the man of the moment, the way the AGM organized and make sure that shareholders are carried along. And that is why today the bank is rated #1 in corporate governance, because our company secretary are always the best in the financial industry or other sector. As long as the company are put in stock exchange, we are the best. And we continue to maintain that repetitions. I want to also thank my fellow shareholders that are here this morning. I say good morning. I don't want to waste my time because the previous speaker have catch everything up that the bank is on the verge of returning back to normalcy, where we used to earn dividend of nairas, not in kobo. We're getting there. Because the Doubting Thomas today must be also been surprised that the bank is being consistent for years, paying dividend, no matter how little. That shows that we have been resilient, and the bank of innovations, and the bank that have been focused to remain resilient, to return to the stakeholders. I know by next year we also have more increase on dividend payout. Maybe by thereabout, we shall return back to maybe 5 naira or 2 naira. It's coming back gradually. We'll be there. Mr. Chairman, I want to commend the bank. From page 9 to 12 for this annual report, recognition of performance from these banks. 25 in number of award. That clearly shows that FBNHoldings and the subsidiary is not a joke. They mean business. Recognition have been organized for these banks outside the country and within. That clearly showed when you're in business and taking people into consideration. The customers, like Basi talked about, customer resolving complainant. Customer is always a king. Because when with customer there's a mistake, when the editing partner money, you see customer will bring his eye. You cool down and listen to him. After the explanation, you resolve these issues. Money did not go back. The one you refunded, the one they refunded. This is how to run a business. And that's giving all this various award. And our women in the banks, I want to also commend them that the bank can bring a platform that the women who are working in the bank today are comfortable. Even if you put a bed, there's a place your child will be stayed, and that award was also given. That this is the best place for women gender to work in a company, and they are being recognized. I want to commend the bank for keeping that track record, including the millennials, the young ones. The bank have provided a platform for them too, and recognition have been given in that recognitions. It's endless. Every day, First Bank win award back to back. So I pray that this award will continue to be given to the bank in the years to come. So the bank will not celebrate you by one award, 25 consecutively. And by next year, it's going to triple, more 25, maybe 50s. Mr. Chairman, non-interest in banking have given us also leverage. We bank of showcasing, and others will not copy. That's why you're First Bank. 127 years is not an easy to come by. It's a grandpa in the business. So when you bring more innovation, people want to copy you. So that area that given us more leverage, we must continue to remain focused so that we drop more money to pay more higher dividend. We must concentrate and focus on that area. Because when you discover, when you innovate, and you begin to yield, people will begin to. By the time they discover it, you have made a lot of money. So I want to urge the management and the entire workforce to continue in that trajectory. But only my worry here is on page 334. Someone should talk about it. Penalties. We need to watch this. everything that happened 2015-18, you don't argue with these regulators because your money residing with them. By the same jack, they have debited your account. You don't have to even to argue the debited account. But regulator must also give room to company to thrive. If you are penalizing and killing and taking out this money away from them, how do you want company to survive? And they pay tax to government. CBN will force them to do one thing or the other. Regulators have been our main problem in this country. It's just like the rulers. And that's why they are there. They don't even hear. Our CBN must mellow down in penalizing company. This money you took, about 220 million, if that money is here today, our dividend will have increased. They are not even care that this company are answerable to their shareholders. You run a billion for the year, they must something to share. And they want every company to start delisting and become a private company. That's not good for us. It's not good for the economy. So regulators must regulate well, because nobody regulates them, including the government appointing them does not regulate them. The oversight function which the National Assembly are not having control in CBN, including ANCOM. Today we're still paying ANCOM. They say ANCOM should start winding up its operations. ANCOM cannot live on the expense of the banks. Who appoint them? The board members of the government. The bankers committee does not appoint those who head in the ANCOM or those who head in NDIC. Where must you paying for their bills? Where must you paying for their bills? If the government are appointing them, government must source to revenue to pay them to do their job. And this cannot do their job, they should wind up. We cannot continue to sustain these institutions. And at the end of the day, we are paying penalties. FRDC also took money. You not update. You see, every year you update certifications. These are things. We should not be doing these things. The regulators must be careful not killing industries. If First Bank that has done 127 years, if they have been killed in the past by the former regulator who have been regulating them either from British, then colonials, the bank would have been not starting today. So we must put this in our head, that if we kill such institutions like this, where will the job come from? Today, there's no job anywhere. But the company that's trying to provide, we should not kill them. First Bank, you have done well, and we continue to do well. God's grace is upon this bank, upon the management, upon the board, and entire workforce, and shareholders and customers. Because this is the only bank that can have 4.something trillion customers base deposit. There's no other bank in the country. Give a round of applause for this bank. They have done very well. Thank you.
With a prayer from Boniface, the next person to call is actually Shola Iluaniga.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, Dr. Oba Otudeko, my father and mentor, and the group MD, the MD of the bank, distinguished shareholders. Today is a very good day for us. Very good day because a lot has happened. It is grace that we have received that we're here. Before the meeting, I was discussing with a few colleagues of mine. I discovered that a number of people have gone. And for us to be here today, we should thank God. Number two, I would like to also say that we have come a long way. We've come a long way. I was discussing with my colleague Ahmad Rabiu, with whom we started in late 80s, even with First Bank as shareholders. And when we look back, has been a binding factor, not only for its staff or officers, but also for shareholders. Mr. Chairman, we want to thank you very much. This is beyond just a business enterprise. This is a family. I was therefore not surprised when I read in the sustainability report that even the employees were encouraged to donate their time to serve their community. I looked at our ESG report, the environmental report, social governance. I was quite impressed because First Bank over the years, we've been the first. In corporate governance, we've been the first. And we will not be last. Number 3, I looked at the recognition. A lot has been said. And that is why sometimes I don't feel too good when Nwosu, BC, and my dear friends speak before me, because they cover the field. And so I will not be saying much. Now, I would like to ask Mr. Chairman, we have seen increasing contributions from our non-bank subsidiaries. My question is, what are the plans to ensure we continue in this line and maintain leadership as a holding company, given that we have led this far? We're always the first. Number 2, it has, through our intelligence, we have observed that a number of companies, a number of banks are now going the holding company structure. When we started it, you recall, Mr. Chairman, it was new. We were charting a course that not many have passed. But we stood by it. And today, a number of the banks are beginning to adopt or adapt what we started. Let it not be that they are coming after us to shunt before us. In other words, how do we intend to optimize the advantage we have, or to continue to optimize that advantage we have as a holding by having the holding structure? The Yorubas will say, Aji shebi oyo laari, oyo in shebi eni kookan. With due respect, Mr. Chairman, I don't intend to begin to say this before. In other words, we set the example. Having set the example, we want to keep leading as we have done for the past 127 years. Having said that, let me come to one or two areas before I take my seat. I looked at page 319 about the litigation. We made a provision of 25 billion by the end of the year for litigation something, from 397 at the beginning of the year. My own suggestion is that we adopt the ADR mechanism so that we won't need to even look at this provision at all. How do we do this? What's the plan of the management to go in this regard? Remember that I said that one of the pillars of good corporate governance that we have adopted here is rule of law. When I looked at page 324, read with page 117, page 117 spoke about the regulatory and compliance risk that we have. But when I looked at the amount we paid on compliance deficit, about 200 and something million. My dear friend here has spoken about the regulators. I want to speak about us. What are we doing? Because some of those compliance are issues that we can handle. So I would want the management to assure us that some of those issues will not arise in future. And finally, Mr. Chairman, I have said that we've got a lot of recognitions. In fact, when I counted, more than about 20 or 30, if not 40. And that tells us that our bank is standing and our bank will continue, even though we are 127-year-old. But this is an elephant that can even outrun the fastest there, that can outrun the fastest animal. Let us keep at it, Mr. Chairman. You have led us well, and we're happy with you. We're happy with the bank. We're happy with the dividend. And we know that we will pass that ₦1 mark very soon, and we will continue to surpass it. We have done it before. We will do it again. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, fellow shareholders, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Before we put this motion to vote, I would like to call on the Group Managing Director to respond to some of the issues raised by the members.
Thank you very much, the Chairman. Distinguished shareholders, let me start by thanking you sincerely for the commendation I've heard across the room. I also want to thank you for the questions you raised. The questions particularly confirmed to me that you are absolutely committed to the progress and growth of your bank. Our interests are aligned because you appointed us to serve you, and we believe that over the last nearly 6 years, we have been doing exactly that. The profit after tax of about 90 billion, for me, is the clearest indication yet that the turnaround we embarked upon over 5 years ago, our commitment to transform the group, that we are nearing completion of that. And so, for me, it's a thing of joy to stand here to say that the results you are seeing should give you confidence that the board of directors and management remain absolutely committed to restoring this group as the foremost, the biggest institution in Nigeria, and it will happen. Let me try to underscore some of the achievements, because I think it's good to just point them out. If you look at the numbers without looking at the context, perhaps we'll lose the meaning. For you to grow the loan book by 19.2% from a very large base in a challenged economy as we saw in 2020, that is something that speaks to our faith and commitment to this economy. For us to have been able to increase deposits by 22% to about 5 trillion says a lot about the trust and the safety that we offer to the public. And I like the point made by my brother Adeleke when he said that customers, depositors, will prefer to put money with us because they trust that a 127-year institution that has survived the most difficult conditions, whether you're looking at it from the First World War, Second World War, the Civil War, and we have remained, that this is the bank to trust your money with. So that is faith also. And I think we should all be proud to say that we are part of this national icon. and we will preserve this legacy. We will continue to preserve this legacy so that generations after us will see that, yes, at the time you appointed us, we served diligently and we delivered results. So we're delivering the numbers. We're also showing that, yes, we can support business. Earnings per share, let me talk about that. It's also important. And Sir Sonny also mentioned it in his question, and I'll come back to your question. 245 kobo at the group level. And then at the company level, which is really what counts, 94 kobo from 39 kobo. Because it is the company that pays dividend, not the group. And so just to answer that question, we will continue to strive to generate earnings and then be in a position to pay dividend at the level that Mr. Boniface Okezie talked about and my brother Shola Oluwanuga also talked about. Why am I confident? If you look at the issues that we've had to deal with over the last 5 years, the NPLs that have come down from double digit to just single digit, 7.7% only. And we gave a commitment that we are going to take this down to below 5% in the near term. That's in 2-3 years. It then means that all of our earnings, net of OPEX, were available for shareholders as dividend. So when I hear 1 naira, when I hear 2 naira, I believe these are realistic numbers and we will deliver them. Let me then proceed to answer some of the questions, having laid the foundation. The first question was raised by Sawosu, and I'm going to take both of them together, dormant accounts and the unclaimed dividend. I do agree with you, sir, that we need to be very, very careful so that we do not discourage investment. Because the level of capital accumulation and formation in Nigeria is still very low. Very important. So we need to build confidence into the system so that people that are bringing money will feel confident that their capital and their funds are protected. And that is what also informed, in my view, the decision by the monetary and fiscal authorities to go around the country to seek opinion when they were crafting the Finance Act 2020. We made submissions. We defended our position. But then government came up with the act. Certain aspects of the act have been implemented. But this particular one around unclaimed dividend and dormant balances have not been implemented, which means there's still consultation. And I do believe that as we engage the government, monetary and fiscal authorities, the interests of depositors and also investors will be protected. So we're all in this together. We haven't given up hope. We'll keep fighting. The second issue raised by Sawosu, which I would like to talk about, is on penalties. And that was also mentioned by, I think it was Shola that raised it. Now, if you look at that report, as a group, we have adopted, even at the board level, zero tolerance to infractions and which will attract, obviously, penalties by central bank. And we have created the governance structures, including sanctions, that will reduce significantly the penalties that may be levied against us. But it's a very big institution. When you are doing millions of transactions, perhaps 1 or 2 mistakes may occur, and central bank in the last 2-3 years, they've been very, very aggressive in enforcing their policies and also their circulars. As you will see in the schedule we published, some of these penalties go back 2-3 years. They're not infractions of 2020. But then central bank will always interpret very strictly their circulars, even when you defend and you think you have a position. But the good thing we want to say here is that some of them we have already appealed against and told CBN, based on your policies, based on your circulars, we think we're in the right. We believe that some of them can be recovered, but the commitment we're giving to you is that we will not deliberately throw away your money, because this is your money. And so we will keep implementing those policies and sanctioning infractions where we see them, just to prevent erosion of your earnings. Let me also then move to the paid-up capital and authorized, that's unissued. Fortunately, we have about 20 months to end of next year. And this is a matter that will preoccupy the board of the holding company as we proceed. The options are very clear, and we have noted even the suggestion made by Mr. Bayadeleke. All of these things will be considered by the board at the holding company level, and you can be sure we will engage you and secure your approval. But clearly, we have to respond well before that date, and that is what I am committing to. With respect to dividend, I'm also a shareholder, for the records. So our interests are aligned, and that's why I work very hard. As you can see, I work very hard. The hair is gone. Okay, so as I said, last year, financial statements for 2019, it was 39 kobo earnings per share. And we have more than doubled it. But then all the earnings truly and rightly belong to shareholders. There are two things you can do with the earnings. One is to pay out as dividend. The second is to plow back for future growth. And we looked at it. If we must strengthen our subsidiaries, because we're the holding company, we can either come to you and say, let's raise capital. And it will be dilutive of your interests if we went to the capital market to raise money to inject into the commercial bank when the price is about 7 naira 50 kobo. Some of us bought at 30 naira, even 60. Therefore, we took a decision that, yes, we need to sustain dividend payments, and we call it progressive dividend payment. So every year, we've been increasing, if you check the records. But then we had to plow back about 25 billion naira into the commercial bank, which is what also improved their capacity to grow business. The increase in the loan book was largely because they had capital, and we closed at 17%, which is a buffer. But we will keep improving the capital adequacy ratio, as highlighted by a shareholder. But we will not neglect the immediate need of paying dividend to shareholders. So it's a balancing act. The good news also is that all our subsidiaries, because we look at the group as if it's just one, sometimes, as if it's just one entity, the commercial bank. We've had to inject capital into the Ghana subsidiary. As you know, they call for capital increase, and then we had to inject money into Ghana. We had to inject money into Congo, into Sierra Leone, all of these entities without bothering the shareholders. So that we're capitalized, ready to now begin to generate revenue, and ultimately they would be downstream to you as dividend. So I'd like to assure you, sir, that we are well positioned to begin to pay even higher dividends in the coming years. I would skip some of the questions so that we can also hear from the managing director of the commercial bank. But I think the one point I want to make as I close is, in 2009, that was when we saw the need, based on a very rigorous study and review of the environment at the time, that it was important to restructure through a holding company. This was even before central bank came up with the policy. And we said we wanted to create a financial supermarket so that we create centers that will generate revenue, and then when added up, then the sum will be greater than what the commercial bank only can deliver to you. So the Merchant Bank and Asset Management Group, which includes the FBN Quest Capital, and of course we had the insurance and a few other businesses, were set up, and then the holding company began business about nine years ago. We are happy that other banks are now seeing today what we saw about 10 years ago. We will not relent in our leadership position. It goes beyond just creating the structure. What we are doing now is to build synergy platforms and collaboration platforms. And this responds to the question by Mr. Oluwanuga. We will continue to push for stronger handshake so that the customers of the commercial bank that need advisory services can go to the merchant bank. And by the way, some of those bonds and commercial papers that were raised or issued by corporates last year were structured by our subsidiary, the merchant bank. Even the Sukuk bond of federal government and subnational bonds that are being executed by our subsidiary. So you have a very strong franchise. You have a very strong group that will keep dominating. So our leadership is not just at the commercial bank level. We are looking at the other subsidiaries that are taking leadership in their various sectors. And all of them are making profits. We don't have any subsidiary today in Nigeria or across Africa that's making a loss, not one. So that speaks to strong governance, committed board, professional management team that you have elected to serve you. And so by next year, I do believe, when we close our books, we're going to see even better improvement in our numbers and therefore higher dividend to the shareholders. Thank you very much.
Thank you, UK AK. As there are no further questions or comments, oh, sorry, Shola. Shola, Mabino. Some of the subjects in your questions actually are traceable back to the bank. The bank is the engine room where most of this money is made, which is why the managing director also looks, I think, quite as well-fed as Sheye on the table here. So MD, Chief Executive of the bank, Dr. Adenuton, you have the floor.
Group Chairman, distinguished shareholders, thank you once again for the words of encouragement and commendations for the board and for management. I think there are just basically two key questions that are very important that we respond to. The first question is the question regarding cybersecurity, which is quite important given our significant foray into the digital banking world. All I can say is that we, as an integral part of our digital banking strategy, we know that as you invest in digital banking, you also need to make related investment in cybersecurity in order to ensure that you don't unduly expose yourself and your customers. And we've been quite aggressive in this particular instance. We've invested in people, the right process, the right policy, and technology. And I would just want to assure our shareholders that this is an area that is important not just to the board. It's an area where the executive management, we're paying a lot of attention to ensure that our customers and all our various stakeholders are able to interact, transact with us without any fear that their money and other resources can easily be dissipated. So be rest assured that we are doing the right things. The second question relates to agency banking. I believe it was Mrs. Bakari that asked that question regarding the fact that we have successfully built what is unarguably the largest bank-led agency banking business, not just in Nigeria, but on the continent of Africa. The question is, how do we monetize it? Again, this is a very important area where we are considering several options. But I think the key thing to even highlight is that we went into agency banking because we believe that an institution that is woven into the fabric of our society, assisting government to address financial inclusion, but in a profitable manner, is a very important part of our business strategy, and we've successfully done that. Today, we have over 100,000 agents, like we highlighted in the annual report. Invariably, for each of the agents, they employ on the average about 3 people. So invariably, we've created employment for at least 300,000 people. Thereby assisting the government, not just to promote financial inclusion, but also address unemployment. In terms of monetization, there are several options that are on the table that the board is looking at, but be rest assured that this is a significant part of our business now and going into the future, and the value that is expected to accrete will accrete eventually to the shareholders, and we'll do the needful. Thank you, Group Chairman, for the opportunity to respond to those questions.
Now I can safely say that as there are no further questions or comments, I will now put the motion to the meeting. Each shareholder and proxy was given an electronic pad with which to vote on motions by poll. The results will be projected on the screen for shareholders and those viewing online to see. I want to invite the registrars to explain the e-voting pad and box. Register.
Thank you, Group Chairman, and the distinguished shareholders. We will start the voting. You have the voting device with you. For those shareholders who are present here, you press 1 or A if you are voting for, 2 or B if you are voting against. We are already taking the votes of those who send their proxies. So all will be projected as we go along. Thank you very much.
Do I hand over to you?
You will call the...
You already have the results.
You call the resolutions, we vote, then
okay.
The result will come up.
So it is time to vote on the resolution. You have 30 seconds to vote. So please vote now.
One by one, sir. You call the first one, sir. The first resolution.
Yes, sorry. Yes, page 5. That the reports of the directors, auditor, and external consultants on the board appraisal and audit committee, together with the audited accounts for the financial year ended December 31, 2020, now submitted to this meeting be and are hereby received. That is the resolution. It is time now to vote on the resolution. Yes, Mr. Nwosu. It's been seconded by...
It's been seconded. It's now to vote.
Thank you. So we have the resolution on the floor. May I?
The voting has commenced, sir.
Okay, thank you.
We have 3 responders. 6. Can we start rounding up? 8 seconds, 7 seconds left. 4, 3, 2, 1. Voting closes. Can we have the result, please? Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We have 1,006 voting for, none against this resolution, 11,337,215,429 voting for. That's 100% both proxies and shareholders present and voting. Thank you very much, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Following the result of the voting as announced by the registrars, I hereby declare that the resolution to receive the reports of directors, auditor, external consultants on the board appraisal and audit committee, together with the audited accounts for the financial year ended December 31, 2020, now submitted to this meeting, has been duly carried. Congratulations. We shall now go to the second item on the agenda, which is the declaration of dividend. And I am pleased to move that a dividend payment in the total sum of 16,152,881,755.95, which translates to 45 kobo per 50 kobo ordinary share of the company, subject to withholding tax, with the dividend payable on Wednesday, April 28, 2021, to members whose names appear in the register of members at the close of business on April 20, 2021, be and is hereby approved. Will a shareholder please second the motion? Sir Soninwosu, thank you very much.
I second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I will now put the motion to the meeting.
The same
registrar.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The same system. You press 1 or A or 2 or B if you are voting against. Poll has opened. Can we begin the countdown, please? 9 seconds left. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Results, please. To declare a dividend, we have 1,005 voting for. That's 100%. None against. 11,356,101,126 in number of shares voting for, 100%, none against. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
I also thank you, registrars. Following the announcement on the result of voting by the registrars, I hereby declare that the resolution to declare a dividend in the total sum of 16,152,881,755.95, which translates to 45 kobo per 50 kobo ordinary share of the company, subject to withholding tax, with the dividend payable on Wednesday, April 28, 2021, to members whose names appear in the register of members at the close of business on April 20, 2021, is hereby carried. We now move to item number 3. This has to do with resolution to appoint directors. The next resolution is for the appointment of directors in accordance with section 273, subsection 1 of the CAMA. The board appointed Mr. Sheni Adetu and Mrs. Juliet Anama as independent non-executive directors on the board, while Mr. Otu Eves has been appointed as a non-executive director. The approval of the Central Bank of Nigeria has since been obtained for their appointment. This resolution is for your approval to elect Mr. Shane Adetu, Mrs. Juliet Anama, and Mr. Otu Hughes to the board of the company. We will now take their election one after the other. We will start with the election of Mr. Sheni Adetu. I want to call on a shareholder to move as follows: that Mr. Sheni Adetu be elected as a director of the company. Ahmed Rabiu.
I move for the election. Adetu.
Will another shareholder please second? Boniface.
Chairman, I so do. Boniface.
Thank you for seconding the motion. I will now put the motion to the meeting. The registrars will do his thing.
Thank you very much, sir. If you are voting for, you press 1 or A. If you are voting against, you press 2 or B. Poll has opened. Let's begin the countdown, please. Results. Thank you very much. For Mr. Sheni Adetu, 999 people voted for, 1 against. That is 99.9 in terms of proxies voting in person, voting or shareholders voting in person. While the holdings is 11,270,766,308, 100%. Only 1,056 voted against, which is 0%. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. That is the result.
Thanks, Registrar. Following the result of this voting, as announced by the registrars, it is my pleasure to declare the resolution to elect Mr. Sheni Adetu carried. The next director for election is Mrs. Juliet Anama. I want to call on a shareholder to move as follows: that Mrs. Juliet Anama be elected as a director. I see Mrs. Bakari moving. May I request Mr. Adebayo Adeleke to second the motion?
I so do, Mr. Chairman. Adebayo Adeleke, thank you.
Thank you very much. I will now put the motion to the meeting. You have 30 seconds to vote. Please vote now. Registrars can...
Thank you, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Have the result of the voting.
The same pattern. A or 1 for, 2 or B against. Poll has opened. Countdown, please. 9 seconds left. 4, 3, 2, 1. Can we have the results, please? Mr. Chairman, at the end of this voting, we have 998 shareholders voting either by proxy or personally, and 6 against. Therefore, 99.4% voting for, 0.6% voting against. In terms of units, 11,356,005,635 units, which is rounded up to 100%. Thank you very much, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you also, registrars. Following the result of the voting as announced by the registrars, I hereby declare the resolution to elect Mrs. Juliet Anama as the director carried. The next resolution is for the election of Mr. Otu Hughes. I want to call on a shareholder to move as follows: that Mr. Otu Hughes be elected as a director. Mr. Oluwanuga.
I, Shola Ifemoluwanuga, move as recommended or as read by the chairman for the appointment of Mr. Otu Hills as a director. Thank you.
Thank you. I need a seconder. Thank you very much, Adebayo Adeleke. And hereby now invite the registrars to please conduct the voting.
Thank you, Group Chairman. The same pattern, 1 or A for, 2 or B against. Voting starts now. Can we begin the countdown, please? 9 seconds left. 7 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Results, please. Thank you very much. We have, at the end of the voting, 982 voted for, 22 against. In terms of numbers, 97.81% voted for, 2.19 voted against. In terms of shareholding, 10,463,254,686 shares voted for, which is 92.97%, while 791,503,952 voted against, which is 7.03%. But the 92.97% is above the threshold. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Following the result of the voting as announced by the registrars, I hereby declare the resolution to elect Mr. Otu Hills as a director carried. Thank you very much. The next resolution is for the re-election of directors. In accordance with Section 285 of KAMA, Mr. Oyi Azan Odukale, MFR, Dr. Adeshola Adedunto, and Otumba Mrs. Debola Oshibogun are retiring and being eligible are standing for re-election. We will now take the re-election bids one after the other. 4A, we will start with the re-election of Mr. Oyi Azan Odukale, MFR. I want to call on a shareholder to move as follows: that Mr. Oyi Azan Odukale, MFR, who having retired by rotation, being eligible and having offered himself for re-election, be re-elected as a director of the company. I so move. Will another shareholder please second the motion? Ahmed Rabiu, thank you very much. I will now put the motion to the meeting. The registrars should please handle it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The same pattern. If you're voting for, press 1. If you are voting against, press 2. Voting open. Countdown, please. 9 seconds left. 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Result, please. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the end of voting, 989 voted for, 18 against. That is 98.21% for in terms of shareholders. For shareholding, 10,463,281,555 shares voted for. That is 92.97%. While 791,496,808 voted against. That is 7.03%. And the 92.97% voting who voted for is above the threshold. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, registrars. Following the result of the voting announcement by the registrars, I hereby declare the resolution to re-elect Mr. Oyi Azan Odukale, MFR carried. The next director for re-election is Dr. Adeshola Adenutan. I want to call on a shareholder to move for the re-election of Dr. Adeshola Adenutan as a director of FBNHoldings Plc as follows. That Dr. Adeshola Adenutan, who having retired by rotation, being eligible and having offered himself for re-election, is duly re-elected. I so move. Will another shareholder please second the motion? Sir Sonin Wosu.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'm very delighted to be the one to second this motion. For to whom much is given, much is expected. Congratulations.
I thank you very much for your leadership. Registrar.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've, as usual, you press 1 for and 2 against. Poll has opened. Can we begin the countdown, please? 9 seconds left. 6 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. May we have the result, please? At the end of the voting, 989 out of 1,002 voted for, which is 98.7%. 13 voted against, which is 1.3%. In terms of shareholding, 562,964,112 voted for, which is 94.46%. 017,250,270 shares voted against, which is 5.54%. The 94.46% is above the threshold. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, registrars. I hereby declare the resolution to re-elect Dr. Adeshola Adenutan carried. The next resolution is for the re-election of Otunba Mrs. Debola Oshibogun. I want to call on a shareholder to move for the re-election of Otunba Mrs. Debola Oshibogun as the director of FBNHoldings Plc as follows. That Mrs. Otunba Debola Oshibogun, who having retired by rotation, being eligible and having offered herself for re-election, is duly re-elected. I so move. Will another shareholder please second the motion? Shola Ephraim Uluwanuga
seconds that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Shola. We have 30 seconds to do the voting and the registrar is ready.
Thank you, sir. 1 for, 2 against. Poll opens. Countdown, please. 9 seconds left. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Results, please. Mr. Chairman, 984 shareholders voted for, that is 97.81%, 22 against, that is 2.19%. In terms of shareholding, 10,368,113,990 shares, representing 92.12% voted for, while 886,664,373 shares, representing 7.88% voted against. The 92.124 is above the threshold. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, registrars. Following the result of the voting as announced by the registrars, I hereby declare the resolution to re-elect Otunba Mrs. Debola Oshibogun as a director carried. Resolution to authorize directors to determine the remuneration of the auditors. The next item on the agenda is the resolution to authorize directors to determine the remuneration of the auditor. Section 401 of an Allied Matters Decree, at any annual general meeting, a retiring auditor, however appointed, shall be reappointed without any resolution being passed. In the light of this provision, the company's auditor, Messrs. KPMG Professional Services, being retiring auditor, is hereby reappointed without a resolution. Congratulations. By Section 401 subsection 2 and 408 subsection 1b of CAMA, the remuneration of Messrs. KPMG Professional Services as auditors should be fixed by the company at a general meeting. For this resolution, I would like to ask a shareholder to formally move as follows: that the remuneration and expenses of the company's auditor, Messrs. KPMG Professional Services, be fixed by the directors in respect of the period ending at the conclusion of the next annual general meeting. I so move. Will a shareholder please second the motion? BC Bakari. Thank you. Will another shareholder please second the motion? Sonny. Thank you. You have 30 seconds to vote. Registrars.
Yes, the same pattern. 1 for, 2 against. Voting starts now. Count down, please. 7 seconds. 4 left. 2 seconds left. 1 second. Voting has closed. Can we please show the results? Mr. Chairman, out of 1,004 that voted, 1,002 voted for, which is 99.8%. 2 voted against, which is 0.2%. In terms of shareholding, 11,337,189,079 shares voted for, rounded up to 100%, while only 19,737 shares voted against, which is 0.0%. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, registrars, of voting by the registrars. I hereby declare that the resolution authorizing directors to fix the remuneration of the auditors is hereby unanimously carried. The next item on the agenda is the disclosure of remuneration of managers of the company. Section 238 of CAMA 2020 provides that at this meeting, the disclosure of remuneration of managers of the company be done. Accordingly, the remuneration of managers is disclosed on page 323 of the annual report. This is for the information of shareholders. Noted. Thank you. Item number 7 relates to the election of members of the audit committee. This item number 7 sounds like social item number 7. So something may follow. In compliance with Section 404, subsection 3 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, the Board of Directors of the company has nominated the following directors as members of the Audit Committee for the period ending at the end of the next annual general meeting. 1, Mr. Oye Azan Odukale, MFR, and Mr. Chidi Anya. We received 29 valid nominations from the shareholders, following which 26 have withdrawn, leaving us with 3 valid nominations. These 3 are Mr. Nnamdi Anthony Owuadibo, FCA. 2, Mr. Fuad Farouk Umar. Please stand up for recognition. And the last but not the least, Mr. Taiwo Kashima Uwakoji, FCA. For the sake of clarity and for the avoidance of doubt, please note the provisions of KAMA on the right to demand a poll on the election of audit committee members. Section 249, subsection 3 of KAMA says as follows: notwithstanding section 248 of this Act and subsections 1 and 2 of this section, there shall be no right to demand a poll on the election of members of the audit committee under section 404 of this Act. I think that makes sense. In view of the fact that there are 3 valid nominations to fill vacancies of the position of shareholders on statutory audit committee, there shall be no need for an election. Agreed? I will now call on a shareholder to propose the following motion: that pursuant to section 404 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, an audit committee of the company be and is hereby appointed with effect from today, April 27, 2021, till the conclusion of the next annual general meeting. The following constitutes the membership of the committee. On the director's side, Mr. Oye Azan Odukale, MFR, Mr. Chidi Anya. On the shareholder's side, Mr. Anthony Owuadibo, Mr. Fuad Farouk Umar, Mr. Taiwo Kashima Uwakoji, FCA. Will a shareholder please move the motion? Ahmed Rabiu.
So do, Chairman.
Thank you. Will another shareholder second the motion? BC Bakari. Okay. You have to give preference to the ladies. Thank you. So, ladies, as there is no other business for which due statutory notice had been given, I want to sincerely thank you all for attending and taking part in the affairs of our company. I hereby declare the 9th annual general meeting of the company closed. And I would now like to call on Mr. Ephraim Uluanuga to give us a short closing prayer.
Eternal Rock of Ages, we thank you because you are the Alpha and the Omega. That is the beginning and the end. We've ended this meeting. We've taken decisions. We have discussed. Father, we ask that you guide us. And by next year when we're coming, let us come with testimonies. In Jesus' name, amen.
one of the fastest growing business communities in Nigeria. Become a First Money agent. As a First Money agent, you get to enjoy so much that the brand has to offer. Grow your social relevance as First Bank financial agent in your community with business expansion possibilities due to increased awareness for your existing business and increased patronage too. Also, you get to earn extra income via commissions from transactions processed from being a First Money agent. To enroll as an agent, visit www.firstbanknigeria.com/personalbanking/ways-to-bank/firstmoney or visit any First Bank branch to get started. A First Money agent can serve every Nigerian. Service offerings include cash deposits, cash withdrawals, funds transfer, airtime top-up and bill payments, account opening, BVN enrollment, and so much more. What are you waiting for? Partner with us. Become a First Money agent today.
You first. First Bank.
In 1894, our first branch opened in Lagos, Nigeria. And we took our place in this new land brimming with possibilities and surprises. Take Kano, for instance, where the city's wealthiest trader made his first deposit. 20 bags of silver arriving on camelback. Aren't you glad that we offer online banking today? Expanding across the West African sub-region and beyond, our early presence made it possible for all hardworking Africans to build great things. So is it any wonder that not one, but two First Bankers have gone on to become Nigeria's central banker? We are intricately woven into the fabric of society, supporting polo for over 100 years and pushing the limits of athletic performance. Rooted in tradition, but constantly leaning forward into the future. Are you coming?
You first. First Bank.